All right, here's the quick review for the certification test for Photoshop. I'm going to go through the stuff that seems to be tripping up people the most and try and quickly go through that. So the first thing I've seen people have a hard time with is the color modes. It'll tell you, it wants you to save the picture for print or save it for the web. As you know, print is the one with 4, CMYK, and for screens or for the web, it's RGB. Now, where you find your image modes are going to be under image. Okay, and there it is, the first thing, mode. You're only going to need RGB or CMYK. Now, just from a test taking point of view, if it's set to RGB, your answer is going to be CMYK. You know, you're not going to leave it what it is. They want you to change it. So whichever one it is, it's the opposite one. But just remember, screens are RGB and print is CMYK. Okay, and it's super easy. All right, so that's probably the easiest one to go over. Something else that I've seen trip you guys up quite a bit is shapes. And for shapes, most of the time you'll see this little rectangle here. Just remember it's down below the text tool. Okay, and you've got a bunch of different shapes in here. Obviously your rectangles, your ellipse, your triangles. But if it's asking you to put a shape in that's something other than a geometric shape, it's going to be in the custom shape tool. Now up here at the top, you'll have a whole bunch of different menus of different things, different shapes. So if I just click on just the first one, it's got animals. Okay, it doesn't give you a ton. You've got, what, 15? And if you want to choose, let's say, the camel, the color of the thing is going to be up here of your shape. So if I draw it, okay, so the fill is the dark blue, the stroke is the light blue. You can see that stroke there. Now to change this, I have to go back to the shape tool. And I can change it from here. So let's say I want a black outline and I want it a little bit thicker. Now you probably won't have to do anything like this, but I got to make sure I'm on the actual layer first. Make sure you're clicked on the shape layer that you want to change. Okay, so we'll make the outline black. We'll make it a little thicker. And we'll make the fill this purplish red. Oops, cancel. Go off of that layer, and you can see that's what you have. Now, odds are you're not going to use a outside layer on this. So let's go back to our shape tool, our custom shape tool, and we want to get rid of the outline. So you click on the stroke, the outline, and you get this little white box with a line through it. That's no color. Boom. So now I've got my shape without any outline on it. Okay, and again, if I need to resize that, I can do it the same way I have with everything else. Just grab the corners. But you have to be on that layer and you have to be on the custom shape tool. Okay, pretty simple. All right, I'm going to get rid of this shape. I don't need it. Okay, on to the next thing. So I know there's one question where they want you guys to flip an object. So they say, flip it vertically or flip it horizontally. Okay, so make sure you're on the right layer. And if you want to flip something, the easiest way is to go up to Edit and Transform. Down here toward the bottom, you've got Flip Horizontally. Okay, or you can flip it vertically. They'll tell you which one you want. Okay. Super simple. If you need to flip anything, I could even do it with this layer. edit, transform, and flip horizontal. Okay. That's how you do it with pretty much anything. You even do it with shapes if you need to. All right. So transform, edit, transform to flip something vertically or horizontally. All right. One of the ones that I'm just baffled by how many people miss this. It's really not hard. It's the easiest thing in Photoshop, I think. And I use it all the time. So they want you to make this area up here match the rest of the picture. And I've seen you guys try and use the clone stamp, and you've tried to use the content aware move tool. And it's like, oh my gosh, you're making this so much harder than it needs to be. Use your rectangle marquee tool. It's a selection tool, and you're going to select the top. Okay, maybe you get a little bit over so you don't have a white stripe. It's so easy. I'm going to fill it in. So I go up to Edit, Fill. Now it's going to give me the option of the foreground color, which would be blue on this case, the background color. I can choose my own color. But what I need is Content Aware. And Content Aware looks at the picture and tries to predict what would be there if it hadn't been cut off. Okay, so Content Aware, hit OK, and it fills it in. Okay, and it looks pretty legitimate. Like you would have a hard time. Oh, this one's sort of messed up here, but it's not the end of the world. You know, you could probably even go in and content aware that and make it match a little better. Odds are you're not going to have to do something that has a pattern like this. It's usually like a sky or some water or something along those lines. You know, but there are ways to fix that. One way to do that would be the Content Aware Move tool. So if I come down here and I want to take this chunk of the wall and I want to move it over here, let's see if it works. Hit enter. Yeah, I mean, it's not too crazy. It did kind of bring it over there and sort of make it look somewhat legit. Just looks like the guy doing the brickwork on the wall got a little drunk halfway through or started having a fit of some sort. Anyway, that's a little harder to do, the Content Aware Move tool. Stick with the easy one. The easy one is the Content Aware Fill, and that one is much simpler to deal with. Let's see. Now, if I need to use the Content Aware Move tool, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can grab an object, and if you want to move it somewhere else, you can just move it over and then hit enter, and it moves it. At the same time, if I want to get rid of that thing, I just grab something about the same size and drag it on top of it and hit enter. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but I don't think most people would catch it. Okay, so one more time. This is the Content Aware Move tool. It is underneath the Band-Aid, although if you're using it on the test, it's probably going to be right here on top so that you can find it easily. You just, if you're trying to get rid of something, circle something about the same size, like I can even use over here. Shoot, I could even use over here. And drag that over there. Now, it doesn't match, but what the computer's going to do, the program is going to try and find a way to make it look like it belongs there. You hit enter. It's pretty legit. It's pretty convincing. All right, so let's put that back. All right, so those are the Content Aware Move tool and Content Aware Fill. When in doubt, I mean, I can do fill here as well. That would be my choice if at all possible. Just go edit, Content Aware Fill. So I go fill, Content Aware. Okay, a lot easier. All right, on to the next thing. So text. Let's type up some text here. All right. Let's make it 2 sentences. There we go. This is text. It is awesome. All right. So if I need to change something about this text, first of all, if they want me to add or to change the, let's say, the kerning, the space between letters, know that you're going to change text in the character window. So if it's not there, find it in window, character. Okay, this one just happens to be open because I use it all the time. If you're not sure what each of these things is, just put your mouse over it and leave it there. Okay, that one's font size. This one is kerning. Kerning, and it even tells you it's the space between the characters. So if I need to change the kerning, let's say, it's going to let me do it. Yeah, there we go. Or did I change it there? Maybe metrics will let me do it. Optical. Oh, it's not letting me do it. So I don't know. Maybe it's the font. Let's try changing the font and see if that helps. Go back up and use the standard Arial font. Arial's good. All right, let's check our kerning. Still not letting me do it. Maybe if it's just one line. Okay, never mind. But that's where you would change your kerning, and your spacing would be here, or your leading. Leading is the space from the bottom of one line to the bottom of the next. It's kind of like spacing in Microsoft Word. Now, typically, if you put it the same size as the text, it's going to, look fairly natural. Typically, what text does is it makes it a little bit farther away than the same size. So it's a little bit bigger. On the test, it doesn't matter. They're going to tell you what to set the kerning at, okay, and the leading. And then they might even actually have a question about tracking. So if I come in here, I can change the tracking. You can see the tracking is the space between or the spread of the letters. Whatever they ask for, it doesn't matter. Come in here, put your mouse over it, and figure out which one they're asking for and change it. It's super easy. In fact, unless you're doing a multiple choice, you don't even have to know which one's which. Just put your mouse over it and leave it still, and it'll pop up. Any of these things. Horizontal scale. This, I'm guessing, would be vertical scale. Okay? Super easy. There is one thing that I saw a lot of people miss about one of the text questions. Let me put that back. And I'm going to get back to my Impact font so you can see it a little better. So they ask you to do some effects. One of the effects that they talk about is bevel and emboss. If you're trying to do an effect on a layer, it's down here. It says FX, effects, bevel and emboss. There it is. And then it'll ask you, do you want an inner bevel, an outer bevel, emboss, pillow emboss, whatever. They probably will have you do an inner bevel or an outer bevel. And then here's what chisel hard and smooth do. See how that one's sort of just kind of nice and smooth. If you chisel hard, it gives it more of an edge. Okay. And then, of course, the depth, the size, and soften. All right. I'm going to move on because I'm taking way too long doing this. Let's see. Resizing an image. That's an easy one. You're going to go to image, size. Okay. If the chain is connected, then that means you change one, you change them both. If it's not, you can change one and it won't change the other. Okay, so check that to make sure you're doing that right. And then, of course, make sure the resolution, if they ask about it, is right. Let's see. Non-destructive editing. Excuse me. All right, if I'm doing non-destructive editing, that means I'm trying to put an effect on this thing or a filter without making it permanent. If it's destructive, it permanently changes the layer. And that's not what we want. Couple ways to do it. Masks, like you saw in the last couple layers, are a good way to do that. Okay, so using a layer mask, they may ask you to do that. This is right here, add a layer mask, or you can come up to layer and add a mask. And then they're a little more specific up here if I'm going to reveal or hide everything. So I hide this, and then this is a way I can get rid of what I don't want. Oops. So if I just want one thing, and then I can paint in the stuff I don't want. Let me make this a hard edge. Okay, I'm not affecting the layer, I'm affecting the mask. So the mask is hiding this stuff. I know this because it's here. I can turn off the mask. Okay, obviously it hasn't affected my original. I can delete the layer mask if I don't like it. I still have my original. Okay, another way that you can non-destructively edit is by right-clicking on the layer, and you convert it to a smart object. So that way, if I add like a filter, let's say, like I want to blur, and let's just blur it a little bit, it actually doesn't affect the original, and I can delete it. So let's say delete the mask, disable smart filters, clear smart filters. So I haven't affected my original. That's one way I can do it without creating a duplicate of the layer. Okay, those are non-destructive ways of editing. Another way to do that, and they ask you to do this, is to add an adjustment layer. Let's say I want to change the threshold. Okay. And by using an adjustment layer, I don't actually affect my original. These are all non-destructive editing styles. Okay, let me delete that. Actually, I'm just going to undo. There we go. All right, getting pretty much close to the end of this. They do have some questions about guides. Anything about guides and rulers are going to be in view. So maybe I have my rulers on, they're already on. Maybe if I want to add a new guide, I look under view and here's a new guide, and I can tell it, do I want it to be horizontal or do I want it to be vertical? We'll put it at 1 inch horizontal, and there it is. I can add a new guide, or I can drag it down and line it up where I want it. And you just click inside the ruler and drag it out. I believe if I'm on the move tool, I can always get rid of it that way too. Click it, pull it up. Click it, pull it out. All right, so guides and rulers. Again, easiest way to create a guide in a specific place is to go view and new guide. All right, easy. Let's say I've lost all of my windows and I can't find my layers panel. Well, just go up to window and it's got them all here. They might ask you about styles. They might ask you about swatches. They might ask you about paragraph, like to change right, left, center, justify. I don't think they do. But that's where you'll look, is in the window, to find anything that you can't, any of the layer panel windows that you can't find. Okay. They may not be up here. They may not be in here. If you can't find them, go get them out of the window menu. All right, moving on. There are some questions about doing backups automatically so that the program automatically saves it for you in case something bad happens. All right, there's a couple places you can look. The first place I would look is in the properties. And properties are hidden in the edit menu down at the bottom. And we'll just go to general. All right, so we've got general, interface, workspace, tools, history log, file handling. Okay, file saving options. Okay, and then we're going to automatically save and recovery information every 10 minutes. If you need to change it, you can go all the way up to it saves every hour. That would be where I look for that. Let's see, what other general things can we find in here? File handling, that's what we had. Performance. I don't think we need any of this other stuff. Maybe units of measurement. You might have a question about that. That would be under units and rulers. So if you want to change it, your ruler to centimeters or whatever, or it's in centimeters and you got to go to inches, that's where you would do it. All right. Now, if they want me to talk about anything copyright related, it would be in File and File Info. Okay, so that's not like the workings of the program. That's like I'm trying to protect my image. You go to Basic, or you go to File Info. Right here in Basic, you'll notice Copyright Status. And you can change it to Copyright, Public Domain, which is Creative Commons now. And you can even, if it's copyrighted, put in a website where they can find, the copyrighted image or whatever, where you can find a copyright for it. You won't have to do that. Just change it to copyrighted. Easy. And then, of course, that's it, actually. That's all I've got. Like transforming this thing, we did that. I can't think of anything else that you won't, already know how to do, honestly. It's all pretty straightforward. My advice would be go back and review the stuff from Domain 1, working in the design industry. That's where all of the multiple choice questions are going to come from. All right? You got this.